Alright, so in today's video, I'm going to be teaching you how to play Pulse coming into Year 7 of Rainbow Six Siege. First, I'm going to go over his loadout. He has the option between his shotgun or his UMP. Either really can be played with Pulse. You see people playing the UMP more often because it's an SMG as opposed to a shotgun, which has a limited range and can only be played a certain amount of ways. An SMG just brings more versatility, fire rate, headshot potential, and is overall just going to be a better choice. But if you want to bring the shotgun to play vertically with your pulse scanner, that is also an option. Just know that when it comes to gunfights, you're going to be limited. The UMP also, it's not the best gun. It has 38 damage, its fire rate is garbage, it has 25 bullets. But with the extended barrel and vertical grip, this thing's a headshot machine. If you can aim pretty well, there's hardly any recoil. So in the hands of a right player, the UMP can still be as good as pretty much every other weapon, and the same with his shotgun. For his pistols, you have the M45 or the 5.7. The M45 brings more damage with a lot less bullets, but the 5.7 brings less damage with a lot more bullets. If you're bringing the shotgun, you're definitely going to want to bring the 5.7, just because this is your only long-ranged gun, and having more bullets is going to be a lot more beneficial than having less bullets. And if you're aiming for the head, the amount of bullets that you have compared to the amount of damage you do doesn't really matter. That's why when it comes to pistols, I always just bring the ones that I have 20 bullets for, but I also have black eyes, so that's the main reason I bring it. And then he has the choice between barbed wire and a nitro cell. You're always going to want to bring a nitro cell because you can play below, and when you see somebody on your pulse scanner, you throw a nitro below and you get a free kill. It's also good for plant denial. You can again see people planting or on the other side of other walls with your pulse scanner, and you can get free kills that way too. So overall, the loadout I would be running is the UMP, 5.7, and his nitro cell, pretty much just everything on the right side of his loadout, and you should be good to go. Alright, so first of all, how do you even play Pulse? Most people use his pulse scanner to see enemies and then nitro through the floor or shoot through the floor in order to get kills. This is one way to play Pulse, but this is not how you would use him most effectively. The most effective way to play Pulse is to use him for information. Let me explain. Let's say that I'm playing Fireplace and Mining for Cafe, and I'm gonna play Pulse Insight in order to get people that are trying to play vertically. The first thing that I do when I spawn in is I'd start reinforcing a bunch of walls. This is because you don't have any utility to set down, so you might as well be reinforcing walls in the meantime while your team is setting up a site. So just keep that in the back of your mind. But whenever you're done reinforcing and you come back to site, the first thing you want to do is get on your cameras. You get on the cameras that are outside, and then you say like, oh, okay, they're spawning river docks. They're gonna go up to the roof. You see them like rappelling up. So now you know, okay, they're doing a top-down clear, and you call that out to your teammates so that your roamers know how to position correctly to maintain that space that they need so that the attackers don't play vertically. Whenever you're playing Pulse, first thing you do, get on cams, tell your roamers where they're pushing from, and that's about it. The second thing you can do if they shoot your default cams before you're able to get that information is you can use your Pulse scanner. Let's say like right here, you can see, okay, they're rappelling up this wall, they're rappelling up this wall, or you can play it like right here and be like, oh, okay, they're going into bakery double, so they're doing a bottom up clear. But just use your Pulse scanner kind of on the outside walls of the map just to see where they're pushing from based off of where they shot those default cams, and then you can get a better idea of where they're actually going to start their execute, and then you'd call that out to your team so that you don't have roamers downstairs when everybody's pushing upstairs. The next part of the round, the mid round, and arguably where Pulse shines the most, is just sitting in sight and using his pulse scanner. So as Pulse, there are two ways to play him. You can play his pulse scanner off site and play below the site, or you can play on site and then use your pulse scanner for people above the site. Using him on site and using him vertically to get people above the site is the best option, because not only are you helping your roamers out by constantly pinging them and giving them call outs and maybe even getting a free kill or two, but you're also on site in case people need to be on site, and because you're on site, there's utility everywhere and you're your most safest whenever you're not getting roam cleared. So playing Pulse on site and giving your teammates callouts is the best way to play Pulse by far. With that being said, let's say that I'm a Vigil and I'm playing upstairs and I'm trying to contest people who are dropping from Skylight, who are dropping from New Hatch, who are dropping from Red Hatch and then going into theater, people on the theater windows. I have a lot to cover upstairs if I'm playing for a top-down clear. So as Pulse, what you can do is you can play in Pillar, and then scan to see if anybody's coming on either, you know, bar area or in cigar shop, anything like that. Or you can play in sight and ping anybody that's in theater in case your vigil's playing pixel, or you can sit below the hatches and then you have a pulse scanner and a pre-placed nitro here, and as soon as you see their heartbeat drop, you get a free nitro kill, or you have your teammate with a nitro cell to get a free nitro kill there. But just using pulse scanners to know where the enemies are pushing from so that your roamer can deal with them is a really good way to play pulse. But this requires you to constantly be giving callouts to your team, which gets me into my next point, and arguably my most important, is as pulse, you constantly want to be calling out to your teammates. This is something I talk about in my one tip for every operator video, which I'll link in the description. But essentially, you want to be calling out to your team at every chance you get. So it's cool if you can go outside on the cameras and see where they're pushing from, and it's cool if you can, you know, give yellow pings here and there. But if you're not actually telling your team like, hey, they're pushing from here, then you getting the information and keeping it to yourself is completely useless. So a normal round with pulse would look like, I'm on default cams, hey, they're going river docks, hey, they're going to be going third floor, or they're doing a top down clear, vigil, you should go play like cocktail side. And then he knows to play cocktail, and I'll be like below the hatches, I'll be like, hey, they just dropped new hatch, hey, they're in cigar. So then our vigil that's upstairs can then position himself to hold a certain doorway. And then even better, if I'm sitting in sight, I can be like, hey, he's right on ping to the left of this doorway. And now the vigil knows he can just pre-fire a certain side of the doorway and get a free kill. Or I could be like, hey, he's directly on ping, you can nade this kid. Or I guess on defense, hey, he's directly on ping, you can nitro cell this kid. But just giving your teammates on the spot callouts is also really good, instead of just general information what room they're pushing callouts. But constantly being on your pulse scanner throughout the entire round is something that you need to start doing, instead of just getting on it every so often to kind of see where they are and maybe get a free kill with your gun or nitro cell below. That's really selfish. You want to constantly be giving callouts. It's the same for Monty, it's the same for Clash, it's the same way for Valkyrie, Echo, anybody that brings cams, anybody that's joining in on attack. You want to constantly be giving callouts and yellow pings in order to make your roamers get some free kills. Now I'm going to talk about the second way that you can play pulse, and that is playing as a roamer, or as most commonly shown, below the objective in order to get free kills whenever the attackers come into the objective. Now, what this is doing is you're essentially making yourself a roamer, and you're making yourself a force that the attackers have to get off of the table in order to win the round. So they have to roam clear you. But the best part about it is if they don't know you're there until one of their teammates dies to a nitro cell, they don't really have the time or luxury of roam clearing you most times. There are certain exceptions to this rule, like you have somebody playing trophy statuary on villa and you're playing below in kitchen. There's always going to be somebody with a nitro cell on that site every single time. So if you're playing below sites where they know most times there are going to be players there just because of how default it is, then it's a lot more dangerous and you might want to have somebody roaming with you. But somewhere like kitchen, playing below for reading, like this is a really uncommon strat, but it's still really good. And what you can do is you can have a team that's oriented on playing for retake. What does this mean? It means you have one, maybe two anchorers on the site to kind of sort of act as bait for the attacking rush. And then you have, you know, a pulse below, and you have two roamers upstairs that then come and retake the objective. And I could be giving my retake teammates callouts like, hey, there's a guy in sight right here, flanking from white stairs, you get a free kill, he's directly on ping. Or I could sit here and I could nitro cell the floor like I did right here, or I could shoot below the floor right here. But if you're going to be playing pulse below, you're mainly going to be playing him for kills instead of information like I've been telling you. So this is one of those scenarios where you could realistically bring his shotgun, because this hole is about 6 rounds of UMP bullets, and it made this small of a hole from me just shooting below off of a pulse scanner. But if you bring a shotgun, not only is it easier to kill people vertically because you're not worried about hitting all of these beams if you're shooting the wrong place, but it also opens up bigger holes so that you can see where they're running to and then able to pre-fire them through the floor that way. So just an idea, if you want to use a shotgun, is playing off-site below the site with a shotgun is a lot better than playing on-site for people who are above with a shotgun, because sometimes they might even not go above. So bringing a shotgun would be useless, and then you're stuck with a pistol as your long range weapon. But with all of that out of the way, there are really only two ways to play Pulse. There's the selfish go for kills, play under the sight way to play Pulse, which is most of what you're going to see in ranked games, or there's the smart team-oriented way that wins you rounds, where you're constantly giving information to your team, whether it's cameras, whether it's pulse scanners, whether you're going to reinforce most of the walls for your site because you don't have anything to do in prep phase. Just constantly helping your team, giving them information, giving them free kills is something you want to be doing as Pulse. And if you play him like this, I promise you, you will start to fall in love with this character more and more, because I feel he's one of the more underrated operators that doesn't get played a lot because people just don't know how to play him correctly. With that out of the way, that's going to be pretty much it for the video, guys. Don't forget to sub, like the video if you liked it, and I'll see you in the next one.